Hell yeah.
Okay, I couldn't play. Hello, folks. I couldn't play the music on air because then it'll get blocked. All right, you know what I mean? It'll like get muted. So we do bumper music off air. Anyway, tonight, welcome world. We are looking at Pilsner Urquell, which means the original Pilsner.
1842.
Introduced in 1842.
Not pronounced Urquell.
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 Edie Brickell. Now, now, this beer.
Has head.
Oh, well, before we get into there, I'll introduce who's here.
Look at that.
From the South, we have Jean-Pierre, the TV Ramble. We have myself, Louisiana Beer Reviews. From out west, we have nobody. Oddly. Although somebody from the West said, I want to join. Like he always tells me that. All right, I'm going to try to invite Paul one more time.
What about Keanu? Was he not going to join us?
Good question. All right. Good question. Okay. And from the North, we have, from Indiana, John Sharon with Zone 1, and Charles with Zone 1. Charles Lewis with Zone 1. We have Poznansky's Beer Reviews, Lee Poznansky from the famous New York City. You've probably heard of that city. We have from Boston, another city you probably have heard of, Eric Fraunfelter with Massachusetts Beer Reviews.
Hello, everybody.
And Nate K.
Yo.
Nate K. Now, Nate, I'm so glad you joined us because you always. Is your father with you tonight?
I tried to get him, but he's absent.
Oh heck! All right. Anyway,
enough of this too. It's like, come up here. But
this,
no.
Oh well. This beer, y'all, is 4.4% alcohol. So if you can't handle this beer, you can't handle too much.
Exactly.
The way it smells, doesn't smell like 4.2%, but whatever.
Unfortunately, this bottle is only 11.2 ounces, but y'all got the tall cans.
Mine too.
Which is probably 14.9, right? Oh, Lee, you have a can?
No, I have the 11.2, just like you, which I was actually pretty upset about. I didn't know about the
You're up.
16.9 foot ounces.
What? 14.9, right?
16.9.
Oh, you got the 500 milliliter can.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Now, there's a little confusion about this beer, and it's Miller, S.A.B. Miller, soon to be Anheuser-Busch InBev Miller, S.A.B. They said, or whatever is going to happen. They rate this beer 5 out of 5 hop buds on bitterness, and they rate it 3 out of 5 sugar cubes on sweetness. It's made with no rice or corn adjunct. It's made in Prague, but it originated in Pilsen, which is down the road. Every year at Easter, they have a priest, the bishop of Prague, that blesses the brewery. I showed that picture on Facebook. Y'all probably saw that.
Yep.
But the confusion about this beer is that is the Czech-German thing. Okay, in 1842, there was no such thing as the Czech Republic, okay? There was no Czechoslovakia. What you had was the Kingdom of Bohemia, which was part of the Austrian Empire. And that part of the Austrian Empire was included in what they called the German Confederation. There was 39 German countries that were united as like a sort of like a European Union type thing, but it was all German countries. So in 1842, you would have said this is from Germany. Okay? Now, starting in 1918, you would have said this is from Czechoslovakia. And then in 1939, it was part of Germany again, but that didn't last too long the second go-round. Now, but it is a Czech beer today, and it's world famous, and it's in the book I own that my daughter gave me called 300 Beers to Have Before You Die. because it's like the ultimate Pilsner, you know, the original one in the world. Anyway, up there in the north, what do you all say about it up in Boston, Eric and Nate? Had it before? Wait. First of all, has everyone had this beer before?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This is my third time having this.
Yep.
No newbies.
I've never had it before.
Okay, so Lee's never had it. Well, let's go with Lee first then, because he's never had it.
Go ahead.
It's good. Has a nice caramel sweet. I don't know if it's caramel, but I actually do know it has a nice malt sweetness, other than most other lagers have. And it has a nice bitterness to go with it. But it's really good beer. I didn't actually expect it to have such a high malt profile up front.
Now, you know, Lee, they say on the SAB Miller website that this beer has a honey note,
Honey.
something like that.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Well, I'm just enjoying the smell, but I'm cutting into your evaluation of it.
No, yeah, I mean, I guess you could pick up some honey. It's a pretty crisp beer. Nice, really rich color. I do like that color, almost like golden. It actually kind of like a golden honey appearance too.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe they do use honey in this.
no, but it's just that barley malt gives it that honey richness, like.
It's good. It's almost similar to what a Yingling traditional lager tastes like.
And what do you think, Nate and Eric?
Eric, you want to take this first?
Sure. Nate said in our little group chat that you all can't see to the side of the screen if you're watching on YouTube, clarity is good. And for the most part, I think it's pretty clear, although I can see if I look at it very clearly. I don't know if it's my glass, but it might be a little bit of some stuff floating around in it. But it is pretty clear. If you ever had Euro lagers like any other kind of Pilsner or any kind of German lager, it has that kind of that white bready, biscuity, yeasty, spicy hop kind of a smell. It's very earthy, kind of a grassy smell, and you get those same kind of flavors in the taste as well. It is a little bit bitter, but I think what it does is it rounds out some of the sweetness very, very well, and it's dry at the end. It's just an overall pretty pleasant beer, I would say. I would say it's grainy and grassy with a little bit of a nice hop, spicy bitterness to round out the sweetness. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot actually because I had this before, but it's been a while. And the first taste that I had earlier, it was really smoky to me. Yeah, I mean, I know it's not like on a smokiness scale. Like I've had a Marzen before, it's not anything like that. But
Right.
it certainly, it was. I kind of forgot that flavor was coming, and it's the real nice kind of balance of sweetness and bitter. It's not like overwhelmingly bitter, but it's also not overwhelmingly sweet, really. Although the sweetness that everybody seems to be talking about, or I guess since some of us are talking about, because we haven't gone yet, but the sweetness, I smell it more than I taste it.
Mm-hmm.
The aroma is where I'm getting most of that from. So.
What about John and Charles?
I'll tell you, from what I see, it pours a little bit darker than most Pilsner beers I've had. But it's definitely big malts. It's crispy. It's clean. I don't get much hop on it. A lot of big malts, yeast, breadiness. I mean, I've had this quite a few times before. Really enjoy it, and I just think it's a tremendous beer. It's been around this long. It's got to be a pretty good beer.
I have to echo a little bit what Eric said earlier. It definitely is earthy, a little bit grassy. I think it's sweet in the middle of the drink. It finishes dry. It's bitter. It's got a good bite to it at the end. With a little bit of floral to it. It's actually I was sitting in a bar years ago drinking a Miller Lite, throwing darts with a friend of mine, and the guy who was the owner of the place, he walked up and said, "Hey, guys, want to try a real Pilsner?" This is the first one I ever had.
Oh, I remember you telling us that story. And what did you think back then?
I think that's what turned my taste buds around.
Wait.
So you found out what a real fine Pilsner beer was.
Yeah, I think it's a great beer.
Okay. Jean, you found it. Where did you find it? At Rouse's?
I found this at Rouse's. It was $8.99 for a 6-pack of this, and I said, "Oh well." I had this a couple of years ago, back in 2007, and this was like a sort of like a variety pack. You had 4 of the Pilsner Urquell, as well as 4 Peronis, and I think something else was also in there. It was sort of like a variety 12-pack that they had, and at Sam's Club when I bought this. And when I had it the first time, I really liked it. I thought it was, very. Eric, yeah, that's a good one, Eric. I thought it was very good, and I still like it. I think it is that very malty beer, and also, it says it's 4.4% ABV, but I don't know what it is about these beers. Whether it was this or Victoria, they just don't taste like it's 4.4%. I feel like it's more ABV in this. I don't know, maybe because of what they're putting into it. Or whatever, but these European beers, I give them top notch. I think they really know what they're doing. I mean, it's very flavorful, very easy, very smooth to go down, and nothing negative to say about this beer.
No, and I'm going to add my 63 cents worth. My 2 cents worth, wherever that expression comes from. It's sweet in the aroma. It's got that honey, but it's more like that barley. I don't know what you call it. That barley, like that. I call it juice, but it's not juice. But
Those barley juice.
you know what I mean, it's really strong in the barley flavor, and it really shines through because you don't have the corn or rice smoothing it out. It's just straight up barley. Now, some people don't like that flavor because it's just too strong, but it's got a really nice grassy hop bitterness, and I guess it's Hallertau hops. And I don't know if they're saying it's a 5 out of 5 in bitterness, 5 out of 5 hop buds. But I mean, I know it's not 100 IBU by any stretch. But I guess Miller's looking at it a different way.
Maybe they're looking at it between all of their beers that they have in their inventory or in their that they own.
I guess, but they own a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of beer brands. So if you look on the SAB Miller website, and each brand, they give you that rundown. They'll give you the calories, the ABV.
They own a lot of beers.
Yeah, they give you the sweetness. They give you the bitterness. And then they give you a taste profile, but the good thing about the website is you can pick the country you want to. You can pick the continent, or you can just pick the country. You can even pick a style of beer within the country, and it'll give it to you. So it's really a helpful website.
Yeah, what I did with mine, Jay, is it said try to drink it at somewhere around 55 degrees.
Wow.
So that's what I tried to do with mine, and that may be where I'm getting a little bit more. If you're trying to drink it ice cold,
Yeah.
I'm going off
5 degrees for me.
5. So I mean,
now the Pilsner Urquell website itself is very helpful because it's got a lot of videos about how to pour the beer out of a tap, of course, what it tastes like, how they make it. It's all about how they malt the barley and go through the steps of their production and the history of the beer and old commercials about the beer, and just it's extensive. You have to have a long time to go through that whole website. But I like those kind of websites because they're real detailed.
but I really doubt over there if they probably don't chill their beers over there. I imagine, do they? From what I understand, talking to some people.
They drink them cool, but I think they don't drink them like we do with the ice cold. It's not like Coors Light with the frosty, with the train going through the snow. No, it's nothing like that. But it's so cold over there anyway most of the time that room temperature ain't exactly warm.
But
There you go. There you go.
You go to Bohemia, or as we call it now, Czechia. But well, it's world famous for a reason. It's about $9 or $10 a six-pack. Although Lee's saying $14, which is outrageous, but that's New York.
Yeah, welcome to New York, folks.
Yeah, I was there earlier this year. The last question to consider, and if I see cans, I'm going to buy cans and do a can review. And if I see those, I really need to start doing videos for those draft packs. They're kind of expensive, though, so I'm going to start
Where can you find them?
a GoFundMe.
nice.
Help me buy draft packs of all types of beer brands so that I can do videos.
Now that must be a down south slang thing, because I don't know what a draft pack is.
Well, it's like those little mini kegs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You pull the thing out and you put the tap on it.
Yeah.
You know, like with Newcastle, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you remember when Coors Light come out with that party ball?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that tanked.
Yeah.
Party ball. I didn't know what they were really called. I call them draft packs, but I guess it's the same thing as the mini keg.
Yeah.
You can get Heineken, you can get
Newcastle.
Pilsner Urquell, Bitburger, like a whole lot of stuff. We're not going to sit here and name it all. There's a lot of German beers. Polaner, of course, and I think some Mexican beers. Well, anyway, the last and most important question with Pilsner Urquell is, would you buy it again, or would you want to drink it again? Back to Lee, our initiate.
Absolutely, yes. This is a really tasty beer, and I didn't expect to do that actually, because I'm not a big lager fan. But this is actually really good. I really like the malt sweetness and the hop bitterness. I would definitely buy this beer again, definitely.
And imagine
I only bought two because I didn't know if I was gonna like it. Like one to drink, one to drink here, and one to review. But I think I'm gonna buy the rest of the six-pack now, just because it is a good beer. I like it a lot.
yes, and I think the bitterness is really high, but it's a subtle bitterness. It's not like
Exactly.
IPA bitterness, but it's
No.
there.
It's not meant to be an IPA bitterness.
I think it's relative to drinking just the Pilsner and the lager style.
Yeah,
It is
it's
obvious.
there. Yeah, it's there.
Mhm.
So, and don't you think it would be wonderful on draft? I need to go. I know some places I can go to that have it on draft, and I might go there maybe this weekend and drink some on draft. Well, I bet that's. But you got to watch it, because a lot of these places that have beer on draft, they're negligent, right? Like they'll let it turn old, and they won't clean their tap lines, and then what are you getting? Like junk, you know? But
It's the worst kind of Guinness on tap when you go to an Irish bar and they don't and they don't really know about beer, and they don't keep control of their tap system at all.
oh yeah, that's really discouraging. Now,
What really worries me down here is there's putting so many of these great big tap houses in. It's got like 100, 125 taps.
Yeah.
How do you keep that clean? You can't.
That's too much. That's too much beer right there. 125 taps.
yeah, and I don't think all the companies can do their tap lines like Anheuser-Busch does, which is like bizarre. You know, we talked about that. What Anheuser-Busch?
Wi-Fi or something.
Huh?
Oh, you mean through like internet or something?
Yeah, all their beers that are on draft anywhere in the United States, from what I've read, are hooked up to this central data collection center in St. Louis,
Really?
where
Wow.
there's a monitor device they put on each tap. All the beers on draft in the United States, and it has to fall within certain parameters of age, coolness, you know how cold it has to be, and all of this stuff. And an alarm will go off at their headquarters in St. Louis if it falls outside of those tolerances. So they'll call up the bar in New Orleans, like say on Bourbon Street, and say, "Why is your tap of Bud Light 3 degrees above the tolerance? What's happening? Do we need to send somebody?" But I mean, you know, most people can't have that sort of control, you know.
Big brother government.
Hey, I've been in New Orleans with you, buddy. Them kegs don't last long enough for them to censor those things down there.
Now they're not going to get old. They might get too warm.
Yeah.
They're not going to last more than a day probably.
No.
But okay, going on. Enough of that sideline scientific possible truth. but the article seemed legit. Now, going on to Nate K and Eric, would y'all buy it again? We say y'all down here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of already did.
Goody.
This is a good beer. This is a good beer, and well, it's not my go-to. It's certainly if I want something really a nice tasting pilsner, this is what I'll choose. You know?
Excellent. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I don't seem to find this beer to be a $14 beer in New England, but at like $8.99, $9 and change, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this beer. And I think the way, I forget who said it. I think the way maybe I forget who said it in our panel, but somebody said that they tried this beer and it was a beer that changed them into wanting to trying more flavorful beers. And I think that could be a true statement for a lot of people. If you like things like, even if you like a beer like Heineken, you might really, really, really dig this beer. So I'd say buy it. It's good.
All right, now over to further west up north, barely up north across that Ohio River, but you are across the Ohio. So, John and Charles, would y'all buy this again?
Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I'd definitely walk down the street and give John a couple bucks for one again. No, really, this is to me. I think this is it's a fantastic beer. There's nothing off-putting about it at all. It's got great flavor. It's fantastic.
John Sharon.
What Eric said.
John Sharon.
Would I buy this again? I'm like what Nate said. I already have, and I would again, because this is a beer that's been around for an extremely long time. I think it's been a while since I've had it, but from what I can remember, it's still the same quality beer now as it was back then. It's an enjoyable beer. It's a big malt beer. It's herbal beer. It's just a crisp, clean, great beer. And hey, I enjoy it. I'm glad Lee got to try it for the first time, and he enjoyed it.
Yes, and Sean, and then me.
Would I buy this beer again? I'm kind of flip-flop on this one. That Lagunta's Czech style Pilsner I really liked, but
wait, Lagunitas. Okay, Lagunitas. All right.
Yeah, sorry, Lagunitas. Sorry, Czech style Pilsner. I tried that. I really, really liked that. But if I had to choose between the two, because of price, I would probably choose the Pilsner Urquell, and I would probably buy this again.
Yeah.
At 4% ABV, it's not that overpowering. It tastes like it's overpowering, but it's not that overpowering at all. I really would buy it again.
Okay, and I'm going to end this by saying, yes, I would buy it again. I think this beer, I'm going to lay it on the line. I think this beer is one of the best beers in the world. I love this beer. It's great. This beer is great. Hey, and I've had some of the best. So it is a great beer. I mean, if this beer has flaws, I mean, for real, I want to know what those flaws are, because I could drink, anytime I drink a beer, I say to myself, if I had to drink this every day for the rest of my life and it was the only beer I could get, would I be satisfied with it? Doggone right, I'd be satisfied with it. I could drink this all day long in a 24-hour rotation without stopping. I could wake up at night. And drink some. I could wake up in the morning and drink some. I could drink some with lunch. But it's probably not a good idea to do that. But I could drink it in an endless loop, and I would not get tired of it. Now, there's other beers I could not do that with. This beer is awesome, in my opinion.
Liver.
Yeah, you have to be responsible and not be an idiot, right? So, although some people say, you just said it was one of the best beers in the world, that makes you an idiot. I don't believe that.
A beer that's been around that long and is still around, I mean, it speaks for itself right there.
If I'm tasting it and it tastes awesome, why would I be wrong to say it's a great beer? Here's the qualifying thing, right? A lot of people will say, oh man, how can you say it's one of the great beers of the world? Can't you understand? The great beers of the world is not 5 or 6 beers.
Right.
The great beers of the world are hundreds and hundreds of beers probably, okay? So it's not limited. It is not a limiting thing. off the top of my head, I could start naming. I could probably sit here and name 200, 300, 400 beers that are right up here with this that are awesome. Okay, so I don't know why it has to be this thing where it can only be 5 or 6. That is a joke to me. But yeah, I would buy it again. I just
What does
went
Beer
off.
Advocate say about this beer?
I don't know. I didn't even look it up.
Is this not? Let's put it this way: is this not maybe an original craft beer?
It's not a craft beer because it was always mass produced. Like right when the company founded it.
That's not what I'm saying. I said, is this not like maybe what they? I mean, let me rephrase that. Is this not maybe what they referenced as this is the beer? They're building their craft beer around beers like this.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother discussion because the craft beer thing. Look, here's what the craft beer thing is, right? I can break this down real fast for everybody. You want me to break this down real fast for everybody?
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Do it.
While I'm drinking my Busch Signature Lager, thank you very much.
There you go, John.
Don't be jealous.
That's a good beer. That's a good beer.
It's good, but compared to Pilsner Urquell, it's not. But it wasn't created to be that level. But it's good. It's enjoyable, and I'm thirsty, and I'm enjoying it. But anyway, but here's the thing about craft beer, right? It's like a lot of people even in the craft beer world, they have a very bad misunderstanding of the whole concept of it, okay? So here's the story, folks. A long time ago, in a galaxy right here in America, in the world, on this planet, they made a lot of different beers, right? So then, and they always had a lot of different beer styles. Okay. As the 20th century got big, mass media, mass production, Ford, phonograph records, whatever you want to talk about, television, whatever. So beers did the same thing. They just became this mass-produced thing. And so the most popular style was the adjunct lager. Right, so that became big all around the world. And pretty soon, that became, in people's mind, that was beer. The only beer they had was mass-produced beers like Schlitz and Budweiser. All right, now, my grandfather who died, he was telling me back in the 1920s and 30s when he was growing up, his uncles used to drink ales. Okay, so the thing about it was, even back then, there were all these other styles, stouts, porters, IPAs, all of that, right? It always existed. It wasn't ever out of the picture. It just wasn't a big part of the picture, okay? They had lambics, they had sours, they had all of that. But they weren't really popular. And all the big brewing companies, Schlitz, Budweiser, or I should say Anheuser-Busch, Pabst Brewing Company, whatever, they all produced these different styles, stouts, porters, IPAs, all of that. Also Scotch ales and all that stuff. But the money wasn't in it. So there was like a sideline style. But if you went back to the 1950s or the 60s, you could get what we would call craft beers today, okay? It just wasn't popular except for like a niche thing, right? It's like comic books. Batman was the big thing, but some people liked Firestorm, but not enough people to keep the book in publication. Okay, now, in 1971, Fritz Maytag reformulated Anchor Steam as a craft beer. And then so there were some other people in that kind of hobby movement, right, that said, let's kind of start making more of these other different styles. They didn't invent the styles. They just wanted to make more of these old styles like Liberty Ale and IPA or whatever you could think of. And so then it grew and it became this, like, interesting thing. And I know you said Jim Koch because he started the whole animosity, or at least that's what Steve Hindy said. He started the animosity between the big brewers and the craft people because until 1985 there wasn't that division. It was just a bunch of big and small brewers, like a big brewing family working together. And this is the thing that's so important. When the craft beer thing was getting started in the 70s, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like a few people played that, but it was like a niche thing, fantasy role-playing. It wasn't like even known by most people. I knew about it, but most people didn't know. Well, so here comes the bombastic investment type guy, Harvard Business School, Jim Cook. So he comes up with Samuel Adams Boston Lager, and then he started making the division because he started attacking the major companies. But the major companies resented it because they had helped the craft brewers in the 70s. Like, the guy, just read the book. The guy, Steve Hindy, says it's comical, you know, because back when they were starting their craft beer companies in the 1970s, Anheuser-Busch, right, Budweiser, the evil empire Budweiser, would have seminars and show those people, like, here's how you want to brew beer correctly when you're doing these, what they called micro brews back then. Now, it's kind of comical, right? If you're out to destroy craft beer, why would you have seminars and show them how to do it better when there wasn't even, and they didn't even charge the people. They would just, like, just do it because they were interested in, maybe they were thinking down the road we can buy it all out, but they weren't even charging them. So there's a lot of bull crap with the craft beer versus macro beer world war, which should not even exist in my opinion. But that's my rant, my friends. That's my rant.
Now, let me rant with you just 2 seconds. That's all I have. Okay. And I was talking to a guy the other night, and I told him this. I said, you know, craft beer has been around for a long time, but craft beer has also built its name off social media.
Social media message boards. You're right, John.
For YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, some of these other things, you wouldn't know 90% of the beers that's out there, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking right now.
Yeah, and here's another funny thing about it. All these people that will say, like I was reading some commentary on Facebook about the Anheuser-Busch buyout of Miller, the potential buyout. Oh, they were saying, oh, that's piss buying out piss, you know, urine buying out urine. And I said, oh, here we go. But that kind of commentary really did not exist before 1985.
Yeah.
Those guys that did the craft beer, I'm talking about Boulder Brewing Company, San Francisco Anchor Steam, Brooklyn Brewing, all these old school guys, Sierra Nevada, they said when they would get around and brew, like there were very small operations, they would drink Budweiser, they would drink Miller High Life, and then they would talk about it like, wow, Budweiser is blah, blah, blah characteristics, and why can't we do a beer that's so, like, solid like this, right? And they would drink, that's beers that they would drink.
Yeah.
They didn't drink it exclusively, right? But they would drink it. And then they would go to the brewery in St. Louis, and they were fascinated, like, wow, these people have it down to a science, like, could we do it like this one day? And then the Anheuser-Busch brewmaster would say, well, let me show you what you're doing wrong, and let's go through these steps, and then you could make your Boulder beer a little better or whatever. So there wasn't that culture war back then, but people don't know that because they don't read, they won't study. There's a whole other fantasy, right? This legend that, and this is true, that before World War II, all the mass-produced beers were like real full-bodied and dark and strong, and then World War II changed it because they had to use all these ingredients for World War II. It's a nice story, but it's not true. If you read, and here's how you can prove it's not true, go back to the 1800s and 1900s and read the old advertisements for Budweiser and Pabst. A lot of those advertisements from magazines, and they'll describe how the beer tastes. If you read those old advertisements, they're describing just how it tastes today.
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry to blow up a legend or a myth, but it's the truth.
Right.
Okay.
So.
How does that fit in with Pilsner Urquell?
Basically, drink what you like and don't really listen to the noise. If you like it, that's really all that matters.
Right.
Exactly.
Thinking, how does all that loud talking and hollering that Jay and John are doing, how does that fit in with this beer examination? It fits because, let's go back to Pilsner Urquell. John's talking about craft beer. Well, yeah, because this is made sort of like a craft beer from the get-go. No adjuncts. It's got a rich flavor, a full body. It's hoppy. And so this is not new, kids. They were making IPAs 200 years ago. They were making Guinness since 1759. 1759.
Look at the year, 1842. That's all you need to know right there.
This did not start with the internet, okay? I'm sorry. If you would have been a beer drinker and an enthusiast in 1965, and I wasn't born yet, but if you had been one, you could have bought all the styles, but you just would have had to search harder. Now it's like that big thing, and you don't have to search so hard. But even so, even though beer is that big thing, beer is not that big of a thing, because what's more popular than beer these days? Wine and hard liquor. Beer is a product that's on the downslope.
Yeah.
We do these examinations every week. It's like, wow, we could be doing disco music examinations every week. That's not exactly the most popular style of music, although I guess you could say club music is the same thing, so maybe I'm wrong there.
Techno, house music.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying, though. It's like we're looking at a thing that's in the it's in a downslope right now. And that's because they started letting hard liquor companies advertise on TV, which really helped them promote their product.
Hey, I will tell you this, and I'm not talking for Chuck, but if you want to see how big hard liquor is, whiskey, bourbon, brandy, you come to Louisville, Kentucky, because I'm going to tell you what, it's big.
Yeah, John, they did a testing. I was watching something on a Today Show, and they were doing something of like, you know, how it's become so popular, these, you know, bourbon tastings they'll be having in Kentucky, you know, everywhere. You know, you got, and also the biggest consumers that are buying this are mostly women.
Yeah.
Are buying a lot of bourbon, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me say this, and I'm sorry I keep talking so much.
That's fine, Jay. Keep going.
I keep thinking a lot. Now, you talked about brandy. That caught my eye. I'm sorry, caught my ear. You said brandy. Brandy, you got me thinking now. Okay, you know I do beer reviews, right? Blah, blah, blah.
Start doing brandy reviews?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, I was reading about Stevie Nicks. Now, she was a famous singer, or she is a famous singer. She's old now. But she was a famous cocaine addict. And she said, well, when she would take cocaine, she would get so nervous that the only way she could calm down was to drink brandy. So then she would sniff coke and drink brandy, sniff coke and drink brandy, sniff coke and drink brandy. The only problem was she did that in a non-stop fashion for 10 years. Okay, so it caused some physical and psychological problems. I understand that. Grace Slick, you might have heard of her. She was the lead singer at Jefferson, or one of the lead singers at Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, and all of that. Famous drug addict and alcoholic, notorious. But she said she would go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and they were very interesting, and she really appreciated all the discussions they would have, and she always volunteered to do the coffee because she could serve coffee with all the regular old people, and she would always have the coffee filled halfway with brandy, and they couldn't smell it on her breath. Now, what's the point? The point is this. These were famous singers who had terrible life problems, but they're still living. And I'm wondering, should I start exploring the world of brandy? Because brandy fascinates me.
Well, they just opened up a brandy distillery down here, Chuck, a couple years ago called Copper and Kings. It's phenomenal.
So brandy is something worth looking at.
Yeah, there's actually what they did was they give up a lot of their barrels to local distilleries or craft beer places here. And each of them brought their beer and put it in those brandy barrels and had a big event over it.
Chrissy, huh?
It was pretty cool.
I might have to. You remember my old series, which was Off Track?
Yeah.
I might have to do a brandy series on Off Track. Now, you said that was really good stuff that y'all were drinking in Louisville?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
I'm not going to do a cocaine review. or lysergic acid diethylamide, but because I'm not really, actually I've never taken an illegal drug in my life, but this is true. I'm not interested in that. You know, I'm really not interested in all of the marijuana, the cocaine, the LSD, Quaaludes. PCP or any of that stuff. I'm interested in beer only, really, but I do have a sideline interest in brandy, port, sherry, and other fortified wines for some bizarre reason. Now, you say wacky backy, but anyway, that's kind of an ancillary thing. But back to Pilsner Urquell, it's very yeah, Eric Clapton. Well, that was written by Hoyt Axe. No, who wrote that?
I do know. Cocaine, did it.
Yeah, well, you know, Snowblind and all that. But Snowblind, 1972. But you know, I don't want to. No, I am very anti-drugs, as you probably know. But I am interested in brandy, and in rock music, and certain monster movies. But anyway,
Hey, Jay, when we come back down there in April, I will bring you a bottle of Copper and King's brandy.
Okay. Yes, this sounds like a very interesting project. Casey Jones, right, 1970, driving the train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Okay, well,
That Smell by Leonard Skinner.
hey, I don't want people to take this the wrong way. Not only have I not endorsed illegal drug use, I have very clearly said I'm opposed to it in every way. Think about this. Cocaine is something that dentists use to put on your teeth to deaden pain. Now, why would you think that you could take something that a dentist uses to do like really painful like surgery on your mouth, and you could sniff it in your nose, and there's not going to be a negative reaction? Come on, people. This was not created to sniff. It is a painkiller used to deaden your nerves. Don't put it in your nose.
I can't get past beer long enough to do anything else.
Right. Beer's got, Nancy Reagan was right, but beer's got me fascinated, but I am sort of sideline fascinated with brandy and whatnot. So, all right, thanks, folks. This was an interesting, examination. John's got his Busch Light, which is something I wouldn't mind looking at, by the way.
Any time you want to do one, let me know.
I got Honker's Ale in the fridge, by the way.
Hey, what about the Schlitz OML or VSL? Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, every time I go to Kenner, I forget to stop at Racetrack. I can get the 18-ounce bottles for 99 cents at Star on Williams Boulevard. Well, here's what we got coming up. We've been running long, and it's mostly because of me, and I apologize. But we've got Modelo Especial, Carta Blanca. These are just the next week's coming up. Shipyard Pumpkinhead, Moosehead Lager, Molson Canadian, Labatt Blue, but I forgot to write, doggone it, I forgot to write down Honker's Ale.
I saw Labatt Blue at Rouse's up here in Mobile, so I'm going to try to get me a six-pack. I haven't had that beer since 1998.
The only one what was that second one you mentioned, Jay?
I said next week is Modelo Especial, and then I said Carta Blanca.
Carta Blanca.
I said Shipyard Pumpkinhead.
Double.
Thank you.
All right. Well, anyway, we went all over the place, but oh well. So what? All right. So Pilsner Urquell, it's very good. We all liked it. I adored it. Everybody didn't adore it, but they liked it. So that's that. Thanks, folks.
Peace.
Lee adores it.
Don't do drugs.
Don't you enjoy college football?
Please don't do drugs. But do go to the University of Alabama football stadium where I went last Saturday, and I was very fascinated by it, and I got in for $10. Thank you.
They're playing